More than 100 people are finding out that they're products of sperm mixing, their mothers being misled by the doctor, or finding out that their donor isn't who they say they are. I'm reporter Samana Sheikh, and these are their stories.
Sometimes you're different and you don't fit in, and that was my case.
Mark Eldridge is in his mid-50s. He originally is from Detroit, Michigan, but now lives in Indiana. He suffered from health conditions which led to several questions.
And my doctor kept saying that's hereditary, and I said there's nobody in my family that's got it. So when I was talking to the sister I grew up with, she's a half-sibling to me also, she knew the story. She actually told my mom, you either tell Mark or I'm going to.
That story changed Eldridge's entire life.
It was around September of 2009. And I just remember my mom, when I walked into the house, she said, I need you to sit down. I got something to tell you.
That's when she told him he was born through the process of artificial insemination.
I've always felt like I've never been part of this family. I said, I feel like I've been adopted. She said, oh no, you're definitely mine. And then that's when she started into the story with Dr. Trithal.
Dr. Trithal operated a fertility clinic in Detroit, Michigan for several years in the 1950s. Eldridge says his mom wanted perfect babies and even asked for specific physical traits.
She told me the process that my dad had childhood measles. My dad was born in 1927. And anyway, they couldn't have kids. They were having trouble. And my mom's doctor up in Detroit had told her about this specialist there. I think it was at Livernois in Davison, and that he specialized in helping women so that they could get pregnant. My mother had told me at that point that the doctor said to help dads, swimmers, and increase their chance of having a baby, that he was mixing some good semen with it to help ensure that the swimmers would actually impregnate the egg.
That practice is called sperm mixing. Dr. Trithal held a dark secret. He allegedly used his go-to handyman sperm, plus donated sperm that patients never knew about. When Eldridge found out the truth, he took a DNA test.
And when my test results came back the day after Christmas, I had a lady from Minnesota contact me and said, I can't find we're first cousin or closer match, but I can't find where you fit in the family tree. And of course, we talked for a little bit on and off, but then in January, I actually told her, I said, I think we actually, I should say we talked by email for a while, but then I told her, I think we need to talk on the phone. And that's when I told her about my story. And we actually thought her father was the donor for a while because her uncle was a gynecologist and probably delivered half the babies out of Grace Sinai Hospital back in the 50s and 60s.
Eldridge says he has a total of 16 siblings at the moment, but that number could increase at any time. Eldridge also says the entire idea of lying to patients and never telling them whose sperm was used is extremely unethical. He says people go to their doctors because they trust them.
My dad's family knew that he had the measles and wasn't able to have kids. So my mom just believed it was a kind of like a low sperm count. But, we'll just really never know.
His goal is to connect with his siblings who are willing to speak. He does this by checking his DNA results online. That's where he met Susan Ellis, his half-sister. Now he uses 23andMe to connect to additional family members.
I was raised as an only child. I had kind of hoped that maybe when my dad was in the Navy, there might have been a sibling, that nobody knew about from his wild days. And instead, I found out that I was donor conceived.
Ellis is very close to Eldridge, a brother she always wanted.
He and I just talk, so when we get together, it's a little hard to get word in edgewise. And his wife and my husband are both, just shake their heads because, we get together, we're 8 years old and catching up for lost time.
When Ellis found out the news of her artificial insemination from her mom, her reaction was pure shock.
She said, yeah, we went to Ann Arbor, but they said, oh, we don't do that here. and they referred us to some specialist in Detroit. And anyway, she told me that her tubes were blocked. They had put gas in the tubes, cleared them out, and once that was completed, she got pregnant right away.
Her mom thought the sperm used during the procedure was from her husband. However, Dr. Trithal used a frequent donor's sperm to create Ellis.
She was very shocked at the information. She sat with her mouth hanging open for about 5 minutes, just shaking her head and just, completely dumbfounded by the whole thing. And the rest of her life, very, very bothered by it. At one point, she even said, if I knew that's what they were doing, I would have never had you.
Ellis says as a woman, she understood her mom's pain.
Yeah, it is medical. I would consider it medical rape. I don't know whether they mixed or not. That was the practice at the time. Certainly that wasn't disclosed to anybody. He was unethical, highly unethical, if no more than misleading a couple. And what was commonplace was after the insemination, the couple would be instructed to go home and have intercourse. The confusion that it could actually be the husband's baby. And, the use of the word procedure, treatment, fortifying the man sample.
But she felt lost.
Then I cried for 3 days, just a mess.
Ellis took an online DNA test and felt comforted by her half-sister CJ and half-brother Eldridge. Ellis says even though this situation has been tough, she's happy to have gained a larger family.
I find when I meet the siblings, I am like searching their eyes, just trying to search their face, what do we have in common? And it's, the phone calls are usually long. We started a group messaging thing with our cell phones. I joke that I understand why God gave us to different mothers, because one mother could not have handled us.
Ellis and Eldridge continue to search for more relatives. The both of them connected to a woman named Lynn Spencer. You can find out her story in the next episode. Samana Sheikh reporting.